What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here. Sorry for the hiatus on videos. If you missed it, I got COVID. It was pretty rough, and I was taking some time to recover, and I'm finally jumping back in, so expect a lot of content coming out over the next couple of days. And yes, I know the Unearthed Arcana survey is out. I will be filling that out probably later today. But as it is the first Friday of the month, that means it's time for a DM's Guild Roundup review. I have 3 titles for you today, covering things from monsters to player options to shops for you to add into your campaign and things of that nature. So a lot of really awesome content, 3 really popular, awesome things that are out there, and we're talking around the range of almost 600 pages worth of content, which is insane. So just up front, I do have a couple of coupon codes. You can check the description. There is one 5% off DM's Guild created content, $5 or more. That one is active all of the time. You can get that in the video description below. And as of me recording this, I actually don't have what the coupon code is for the sort of 10% off. So you'll have to check the video description for that. But the way it works basically is I have that 5% off coupon code going all the time. And then when I make this video, usually for this week into the following week, I have another coupon code for 10% off an order for $10 or more. So if you want to wait for the little bit extra, you can wait till the first Friday of the month to get that new coupon code, or use the 5% all the time. There'll be links in the description to all 3 of these titles, which are also affiliate links. So if you go to pick one up, I do benefit slightly monetarily from that. And lastly, hey, this number has continued to grow, and that's thanks to all of you. So if you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up and leaving a comment down below. Let me know which one of these titles is your favorite, or if there's some other cool DM's Guild content you'd like to see me cover in the future. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 3 titles that I have for you today. We have Volo's Vetted Vendors, 20 Shops and Shopkeepers. It is Volo, so it is technically tied to the Forgotten Realms, but you could use these in any campaign. You can see it has 4.5 stars for 8 ratings. It is a best gold seller, and it just came out on the 8th of April. So this is 20 different shops. We'll go over one of them. There's a lot of content, as I said, so we won't be able to touch on things for too long, or we'll be here forever. The other is one that many of you have asked me to check out, which is the Ultimate Adventurer's Handbook. This is by Sterling Vermin Company, as well as a bunch of other folks. It is a massive catalog of things. You can see it has 5 stars, which is for 28 ratings, which is one of the most highly rated things we've seen on the DM's Guild in a while. It is a best gold seller. It came out back on the 22nd of March. You can see not only are you getting several new races, you are getting a variety of new subclasses for all of the classes, including the Artificer, as well as additional subclasses for things like Matt Mercer's Blood Hunter, as well as the Pugilist and the Accursed. You're also going to get new feats, spells, and equipment and magic items in this book. And then lastly, we have Creatures of the Underdark from the folks over at Grimm Press. This is a best silver seller, came out on the 25th of April, and has, again, 5 stars for 7 ratings. This also has a ton of new Underdark related monsters, and in addition to that, it also has new magic items. So there is a ton of content, as I said, to cover. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So you can see right here, this is Volo's Vetted Vendors. This is, again, 68 pages. It does have bookmarks, so we have benefits right there. And it's basically, and this is a collection of 20 stupendous shops and their proprietors of the world's greatest role-playing game. And that's basically what it is. It is also annotated, which is nice. So if you're not using the bookmarks, you can actually click on them in the table of contents, and it will jump you to whatever it is. It also gives you a little rundown of the shop and who the designer was behind it. So I've looked through a handful of these. I like the Cozy Turtle because I thought it has an interesting backstory, and then we can kind of look at another one. Cozy Turtle is a tavern, though, so you're not going to get much in the way of stuff that you can buy other than foodstuffs. But I thought this was pretty interesting. It says right here it's outside of Neverwinter. Again, feel free to adjust these and drop them into your own campaign world wherever you need them. But I thought it was interesting because Sam Steeltusk is the sort of proprietor, the bartender who oversees it, who is an ogre who has above average intelligence due to a tome of clear thought gifted to him by an archmage. And you can also see here there is drama here, and each one of these sort of has their own little drama section, which could be things to incite your players, adventure hooks. You can see right that Sam has disappeared. There's doppelgangers behind it. The Cozy Turtle starts to move as if it were still part of the giant turtle, marching away from Neverwinter towards the wilderness. A whole bunch of stuff going on there. We can go on. We have a little bit about role-playing Sam himself. And then again, we have the price list here talking about the different options for food and things that you can pick up within there. Which is also interesting because that saves you the effort of having to come up with the meals. But I thought we'd also scroll down to the general store because this is a shop and it shows you some of the items that you can pick up for sale at this particular shop. So it's a huge, sprawling, multi-building tourist trap, despite being situated on a major highway, is near nothing of note. You can see it says, see the stuffed T-Rex. At the general store, we have it all except the magic swords. Come and join friendly horde. Stop by on the general store, blah, blah, blah. It also, as you can see, has drama options as well to give you things to incite your players if you need them, right? You don't have to. The store or the tavern, whatever it might be, could just be that. But if you need to add a little bit extra, if things are kind of slow in your given game, this gives you the opportunity to do so. So this one, for example, right off, it has this taxidermy T-Rex, and it becomes animated as a T-Rex zombie is one of the options there. Elmar, again, the shopkeep, but we also can see because it is a shop, it has prices and items that you can buy, right? So you can get a cloak of billowing here with the general store embroidered on the back. You can get, again, some paintings, child-sized spear, again, like toy spears here. We can see, we can scroll down. We do also have some prices for some magic items here, potions, some sort of common magic items, as well as a plus one weapon. And then there's, again, tables here to roll for that. And here's a little kind of top-down view of what you're looking at, of the general store's layout itself. So, again, there's 20 more, or there's 18 more, because we kind of covered 2 here. Really awesome stuff that you can drop into any campaign. All right, then we have the Ultimate Adventurer's Handbook. This is 313 pages. I realize I didn't really talk about pricing, so why don't we go ahead and jump back. Volo's Vetted Vendors is $9. You can also get this in a soft cover if you choose. The Ultimate Adventurer's Handbook is $40, but it's 300 pages. It's worth $49.99. It's worth $39.99 as a PDF. Again, that's it's 100 more pages, or more than 100 pages more than you're going to get in your Spelljammer box set. And you can also choose to pick this up in a hardcover if you see fit. This would be one that I think you would benefit if you got it in a hardcover. And then again, Creatures of the Underdark is $24.95. So if we go ahead and take a look, we can see that obviously the Ultimate Adventurer's Handbook does have a variety of bookmarks, which makes sense for a document of this size. And as I said, you can see here, these again are also annotated. You have various character races here, and then several adventuring paths for, it looks like about 5 or more for every single different class that is here, from even including the Artificer. There's also most of the spellcasters, as there is new magic contained within this book. You can see that some of them list off additional spells. We can move on to the classes of the DM's Guild. We can see, again, the Accursed. This is a full level 1 to 20 class is published in here with some updates, as well as options for the Blood Hunter as well, Matt Mercer's class, as well as new Blood Curses rather. And then we have the Pugilist as well, updated. And then again, feats, spells, and then weapons and magic items at the end here. There's a lot of stuff to go over. Again, I couldn't do all of it if I wanted, so I thought I would go to a Bard one that I thought was interesting, which was the College of Beasts. You can see here right at the start, it does have a variety of different cantrips and 1st through 9th level spells to add to your Bard spell list from the spells contained within here. And then we can just dive into the College of Beasts, which is kind of a Beast Mastery Bard, which is a combination of things that I really enjoy. So here we are. Starting when you take it at 3rd level, you get proficiency in animal handling and double your proficiency bonus for checks using that. And you know the ways and thoughts of the beasts. You always benefit from the effects of the Speak with Animals spell, and you have advantage on any ability check you make to persuade a beast to share information to do a favor for you, given that it isn't hostile towards you. Pretty cool stuff. You also get, probably what makes me so attracted to this, the Tiny Companion feature at 3rd level, because I love bards and I love animal companions, so here we go. You basically can cast Find Familiar as a ritual, which gives you one of the best spells in the game. It counts as a bard spell for you, doesn't require material components, and it conjures a beast rather than a celestial, fey, or fiend. Okay, and what else happens? You have Bardic Companion. While your familiar is riding a creature, such as a creature's shoulder or in its pocket. I think there's a little bit, I guess it's riding a creature, it doesn't have to be you, it could be somebody else. the effects of your bardic inspiration are improved on that creature. You can give such a creature a bardic inspiration die even if the creature is further than 60 feet from you and can't hear you. Additionally, when such a creature uses a bardic inspiration die you gave it, it adds your charisma modifier to the result. So you could have, like in this instance, it's a bunny. If the bunny was sitting on the shoulder of one of your allies and they're outside of your normal bardic inspiration range, they can still benefit from it. This also could be benefiting you if you wanted. In theory, if you have a way to give yourself bardic inspiration one way or another. Typically, you don't, and this one obviously doesn't have that. So if you're, you could have a bird, right, an owl perched on the shoulder of an ally. Maybe they're out scouting, the rogue sneaking ahead. You could do this to give them bardic inspiration when they're outside of your range, and then again, it gets the benefit of also adding your charisma modifier to that roll, giving it a little bit more of a bolster. Empowered, the familiar's hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to twice your bard level plus your charisma modifier, and it gains a bonus to its AC and saving throws equal to your proficiency bonus. Obviously, again, specifically, even in the instances we just discussed, and if it's further away from you, having it be a little hardier than normal would be beneficial. And then evasion, if the familiar is subject to an effect that allows it to make a dexterity saving throw to take half damage, it takes no damage if it succeeds, and half on a success. That really just adds a ton of survivability to any animal companion, and I would highly recommend finding a way, if you're building animal companion-based classes, to wherever it makes sense, give them some form of evasion, because it does make it that much more useful. Animal allies at 6th level, you learn the Conjure Animals and the Summon Beasts spell. Summon Beasts again from Tasha's Cauldron, which counts as bard spells for you and don't count against the number of spells you know. You can also cast either spell once with this feature without expending a spell slot or requiring material components, and you regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. You also at 6th level get Call Familiar. As an action, you can expend a use of your bardic inspiration to cause your familiar to appear in your space as though you had cast Find Familiar as a ritual. Again, you're typically limited to casting it as a ritual, taking 10 minutes. This allows you to sort of circumvent that by using your bardic inspiration. I've also said in the past, I think some of the best subclass designs out there take a way for you to utilize some mechanic that your class already has, specifically in this instance, bardic inspiration, and giving it an additional use. And lastly, we have Mighty Companion at 14. When you cast Find Familiar as a ritual, you can communicate telepathically with the familiar and perceive through its senses, as described by the spell, as long as it's on the same plane as you instead of only within 100 feet. And it gets the following benefits. Improved Bardic Companion. If the familiar is riding a creature when you cast a bard spell that targets only a single creature and that doesn't have a range of self, you can choose that creature as the spell's target, ignoring the spell's range and any requirement the spell has of you being able to see the target, which is pretty useful. That allows you to get around a lot of interesting stuff. Helpful Distraction. When the familiar takes the help action to aid a friendly creature in making an ability check or attack roll, the creature also adds your charisma modifier to the affected roll. And Soulbound. When a creature uses a bardic inspiration die you gave it, the familiar regains hit points equal to the result of the bardic inspiration die roll. If the healing would restore the familiar above its normal hit point maximum, it gets the surplus as temporary hit points, which is pretty awesome. All right, so that was a really, we spent a lot of time there looking at the subclass, but I did want to jump ahead and take a look at some of the other stuff at the end. Again, I think one subclass is a lot to cover. If we went to cover more, we'd be here for a very long time. But we can jump ahead to the feats and spell section, because there is some interesting feats here. You can see they have some that fit into, there's feat trees and feat chaining. Again, stuff that we have seen is becoming more popular in the terms of 5th edition. And then we can see some of these are tied to specific backgrounds. Some of them are tied to the new races that they've added in here. Something that was so simple was Dwarven Fortitude, which was from one of the old, I don't know if this one actually made it into a published source. There were several different options. No, I think this one did, right? It says Dwarven Fortitude, increase your Constitution score by 1 whenever you take the dodge action. In combat, you can spend 1 hit die to heal yourself, roll the die, add your Constitution modifier. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is a published feat, so I don't know why that ended up in here, but either way. We can see, again, a variety of different options. Elven Combat Expert, but the one I liked the most was Martial Artist, because I thought this was interesting to give you styles, martial arts styles, which I thought was pretty cool, right? So it gives you a +1 to your strength or dex score. It says you do a D4 instead of a normal, the normal damage for an unarmed strike. You can take this feat multiple times, and each time you take it, it bumps up the die roll to a D6 and then a D8 if you were to take this 3 times. While you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield, your AC equals 10 plus your dex plus half your proficiency bonus. A little bit of a benefit there, which again could make you, eventually up to +3 from half your proficiency bonus. So you could be looking at a pretty substantial up to an 18 if you have a maximum of 20 dexterity at a high level, and you choose a martial arts style, right? If you take it multiple times, you can choose other styles, and you can see it's giving you cool combat effectiveness based on the type of martial arts style that you pick. So you can see right here, crashing wave style. When you make an unarmed strike against a creature and beat that target's AC by 5 or more, you can move it 5 feet in a direction of your choice. Or when you take the attack action, you can use a bonus action on the same turn to make an unarmed strike against a creature within 5 feet. If the unarmed strike hits, you deal no damage and instead knock the creature prone or push them 5 feet back in a direction. For example, we also have Iron Fist style here. When you roll a 1 or a 2 on the damage die for your unarmed strike, then apply your strength modifier to the attack and damage roll. You can re-roll the die, but you must use the new roll. Sort of like one of the the great weapon master, great weapon fighting style. And before you make an unarmed strike, you can choose to take a penalty to the attack roll equal to your proficiency bonus. If the attack hits, you add twice your proficiency bonus to the attack's damage. Again, similar to the great weapon master feat, this is kind of giving you kind of a combination of both of those, but just for unarmed strikes. Again, unarmed strikes, fighting, and that kind of stuff is really cool in theory, but in 5th edition, I do feel it's slightly lacking, especially because of the new fighting styles we have, where a fighter could be just as good as a fighter as a monk, but even potentially earlier on. This is kind of a cool option that you could even take if you were a monk, and it would allow you to offset some of that by allowing you to take the, if you're rolling consistently highly on your damage attack rolls, you could choose to take the penalty to get the benefit. Plus, there's the new key usage where you can expend key points to add to your attack roll, so you can kind of offset the two doing that. And then again, I thought I'd jump down to show off some of the spells. There's a variety of different new spells here as well. One of them I thought was really interesting is Bind Familiar, which lets you take a living creature and bind them as your familiar. It's a 6th level spell. It's pretty powerful. The only thing I couldn't find when I read through the spell was a limit. So seemingly you could cast this on any willing creature that would submit to be your familiar, and that could happen, as far as I can tell. It says you perform a ritual on a willing creature within range, binding their magic to its essence. That creature must remain within range for the duration of the ritual. Once it ends, it becomes your familiar. Now, I know this wouldn't make a lot of sense, but in theory, you could bind one of your fellow party members to be your familiar. I realize it's probably not what that's designed to do, but there's nothing stopping that from happening because it doesn't limit. It's not CR based. It's not beast. It's not animal. It's any willing creature. Again, there's probably some shenanigans that can be done there as well, but, it is what it is. And then the last one I'm not really going to go over it, but I just wanted to show off the art because there's one that's called Cold Snap / Heat Wave. And they very clearly have Elsa here doing a cold snap, basically turning a mass area into, freezing and turning it into winter, which I thought was pretty cool. And then lastly, we have Creatures of the Underdark. Unfortunately, Creatures of the Underdark gets negative points because we do not have bookmarks. And there's a ton of content here. There's 255 pages worth of content. To then not have bookmarks is kind of a big detriment. It is annotated, so if I do click on these, it'll take me where I need to go. And as you can also see, there's a variety of magic items, which I really appreciate. Unfortunately, it follows in the steps of Candlekeep Mysteries, and that as you can see by the page numbers here, the magic items, they are not at the end in an appendices, which would be perfect, in my opinion. They are spattered throughout the document. And again, we don't have bookmarks, so we can't easily click to them. This would be great if, again, we had bookmarks and the last section was magic items. We could just jump to them. But as you can see, they are where they fit within the grand scheme of the specific creatures that are here. So they're all over the place. They're listed alphabetically here, but you can see, right, the Bright Axe Gauntlets are on page 45, and the Crown of Sycoras is on page 215. So they're spattered throughout, which is fine, but it's going to be hard to get to them without, you have to click and move back and forth. But as I said, there's a variety of awesome Underdark related creatures, including some advanced versions of things you have seen. But one that I thought was really interesting was the Dragon Outcast. And this is some old edition art, and it's not the specific art for it, but it's basically a concept of when a chromatic dragon is born and has sort of properties of multiple chromatic dragons, and as such is typically kind of outcast. But if it's not outrightly killed by the parent for being like the ones they provide here are like a combination of red and black dragons. It sort of shows both properties. Might have like the body of a red dragon but the horns of a black dragon, which looks and sounds awesome to me. It's kind of this outcast dragon, and you can see there's backstory and history here about it. And then we have stat blocks here for red and black dragon outcasts of both a wormling and a young dragon. My only sort of nitpick here is I would have preferred more almost like templates so that we could see, because right now we only have the sort of background for a red-black dragon. Again, you could probably figure out just by looking at this how you could combine something like a green and a blue or what have you. You can see it does have limited limited flight with its stunted wings ability here, but its chromatic breath weapon does a combination of, in this instance again being red and black, fire and acid damage. And it is a 15-foot line, 5 feet wide. And you can see here it does 3d6 acid damage and 3d6 fire damage. Which, again, I just thought that was an interesting, unique ability and a different kind of creature. But again, because I would want to go show you more, I have to scroll back up to the top and then scroll down to the table of contents to be able to look at more. Because, again, I don't have bookmarks to make it easy to jump around. But we can see, again, a variety of interesting failed chosen of Lolth. We have different kinds of Kruthiks here as well. We have ice beholders, which I thought were pretty cool, which, again, we've seen this art and stuff in older editions. They have different sort of abilities. This one has obviously more snow and ice related powers. But we can also see, again, here's one of the items that's included here, right? The Ring of Permafrost. While wearing and attuned to this ring, you are resistant to cold and do not suffer any effects from extreme cold. Additionally, you can speak one of the ring's command words and summon either a water elemental or 2d4 ice methods, as if you had cast the Conjure Elemental spell, and can't use that again until you finish, or until the next dawn. We also can see the Ring of Icy Blight, which is a legendary magic item. And then again, we can roll down here into Illithids. We have other stuff, magic items, again, tied to that. The Psi Protector Amulet. You can detect any source of psionic power, be it creature, item, or environment within 1 mile. Additionally, you can, as an action, give yourself resistance to psionic effects for a minute. While under this effect, you have advantage on all saves against psionic mind powers and a +5 bonus to your AC against psionic spell-like attacks. And then we have a psionic chain armor here as well. +2 to AC while wearing this. It does not impose disadvantage on stealth checks or has a strength requirement. If it does have a strength requirement, it doesn't. And then again, you are immune to psionics while wearing this armor if the source of the spell attack or magical attack is from a psionically powered creature or a magical item utilizing psionics. You cannot be affected by it while attuned and wearing this armor. Again, like I said, you can scroll through this and see a variety of different magic items and things there as well. I also believe, so again, be sure to check in the video description again, as I don't have the coupon code in front of me, but it'll be right down there, as well as, like I said, the affiliate links for these 3 titles. There is a ton of content here, right? Just as a reminder, Volo's Vetted Vendors was 68 pages. The Ultimate Adventurer's Handbook was 313 pages, and Creatures of the Underdark was 255 pages. That is a ton of content. If you were to buy just these 3 books alone, you definitely have more than enough content to get you through the rest of the month of May before we dive into the new content for the beginning of June. So thank you again to the DMs Guild for sponsoring this video. Just as a reminder, they do that with me once a month, which is an awesome thing that I'm very thankful to be a part of. And again, they give me carte blanche to pick whatever titles I want, and then I get to review them honestly. But, and I will say, knock on wood, thankfully, everything we've picked, I think, has been very, very useful, cool stuff. And I think I haven't really had anything that I've been really upset that I picked up. I haven't felt cheated or jaded on any of this stuff that we've picked up. And there's usually a lot of content here that everybody can use. And there's usually a little something for everyone, right? The Ultimate Adventurer's Handbook could keep you going in brand new races and characters, feats, magic items, and things like that for years to come. There's just so much content there. Even if you play all the time, I feel like it would take you forever to get through and try all of the different options. And I'm actually gearing up for a future campaign, and I was planning to play something else, and I forgot about this book. So I might give this a shot instead. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, and I will see you all next time.